Welcome to our Legacy Premier Foundation edition of International Women's Day. And today we have impeccable array of great women of substance. I call them the authentic narrators, women who are doing it big in their space, who are making impact locally and globally, who we will get a chance to hear their version of what one woman, one power means. For this year, our theme is one woman, one power. Yes, all women has power within. What is your power? And we're going to talk about leveraging intergenerational strengths in building a thriving female ecosystem. Women, we need to build an ecosystem that works for us, and we need to take everyone along. So, with me in the studio this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you're watching us from, thank you. I have great women who I would not do justice if I do the introduction myself. So, what I've decided to do is to have them each say some things about themselves very briefly before we hear their words of wisdom, encouragement, and sharing with us how they have been able to build such an ecosystem that they're still building and doing it big all over the world. So I want to pick on someone and just see if Dr. Renee Allen, if you could please step in and just introduce yourself for a quick moment, and we'll go around and let everybody else do the same, and then we'll come back to you.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Remy Duhalay. You are one of the finest women I have encountered, especially in this area, doing what you say and meaning what you say. I am Dr. Renee Starlin Allen, and I am so excited to be here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to the panel. I'm a 22-year retired veteran. I worked with two presidents, George Bush Sr. and Ronald Reagan. I am a TV host, radio host, had my own show across from Howard University for 8 years on WLVS. I'm an advocate for women, and that's why I'm excited to be here, and human decency, and a best selling international author, and a great friend of Dr. Remy. And I look forward to hearing about the other ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Renee, for that warm introduction of yourself. I know it's brief, but it's on point. My next person will be Ms. Vanessa Adebayor, someone that I've grown to admire her great work locally and globally, and one of those powerhouse emerging leaders that stand tall around the world. Vanessa, over to you.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Remy. It's a pleasure to be here. Is my video on? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay,
Yes.
great, great. Okay. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, stroke evening, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for having me be a part of this panel. It's an honor to be here amongst so many amazing other women. My name is Vanessa Adebayor, as you stated. Currently, I work as a program manager for an organization called World Connect. And for lack of a better word, we just do impact investment all over the world. But I'm primarily responsible for the Nigeria portfolio. And so I take care of all the proposals that come our way regarding any impact that's going to be done in local grassroots communities. And then in addition to that, I'm the founder of an organization called Africa's Mental Health Matters, focusing on mental health awareness on the African continent and in the diaspora. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, you can. All right. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for that. We have one of the speakers that's trying to get on, so I do apologize for that brief distraction. Thank you so much for what you do. I know part of what you do, and I'm ever so thankful for the impact and the trailblazing example you're showing, especially for people your age, to know that the world is just a click of a button and that they can do whatever they want to do. So thank you very much. Dr. Kapoor, if I may get you to please introduce yourself. Dr. Kapoor has been a mentor, a friend ever since I started my lecture experience at Bowie State University. She has been a great friend, a sister, someone that has truly embraced me, and we've done a lot of great things together globally. Dr. Kapoor, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Remy. Thank you for having me here. I think I'm looking forward to this interesting and very important discussion that we are heading for. Just very briefly about me, I work at Bowie State University in the College of Business. I have traveled around the world being a spouse of a diplomat, and I have worked closely with women entrepreneurs in Latin America. So, all I have to say is that I'm delighted that I was given the opportunity to meet so many women across the continents, and and I'm looking forward to a good conversation with all of you today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kapoor, for that warm introduction. And thank you for all the great work that you do, especially for our students and engaging to ensure that we have that global linkage that we all deserve and desire to make the world a better place. So thank you very much. We have our other speaker who is still trying to get connected, but I want to get this started so that some of you have to exit for another a work related engagement. So I'm going to get started. Have I left anyone out at this point? Engineer? I think I have everybody that's present at this time. So, Dr. Renee, I know you and I know how important it is to all of us to have that woman power, collaboration, teaming, and so on and so forth. That woman, one power resonates with you, if no one else. because I know the power that you bring and I know the power that you engage people in. So help us within the next 10 minutes to share from your own experience. How can we leverage intergenerationally this great womanhood that we desire and deserve to build a better female ecosystem for all? So over to you, Dr. Allen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Remy Duhale, and uh, good luck and with your candidacy. I know that you are going to succeed and be a great asset in Annapolis. You know, I am the I'm so excited because Dr. Duhale has been empowering women for as long as I have known her, and that I've known her for probably about 12 years. And so to be here today, although it's a hectic schedule today, I made sure to say yes because of her yeses that she has given to women in general across the world. So I just want to start by just saying I'm going to keep it real layman. You know, I speak in simple terminology, and I really want to be able to speak with the 5-year-old and the 75-year-old. And so what I'd like to just share with everyone is that the emphasis on one woman, one power is that each of us as women, the millions and millions of women that we have on this earth, we are representing one woman. And that's how I look at it. So with one woman, that strength brings that power. So each of us has the responsibility to empower, to educate and inspire and support and edify other women. And that's a big one, edification. And so we'll talk about that a little later, but it's our duty as women to build a thriving female ecosystem, leveraging international generational strength. We build with the family structure, and we usually are the glue, the women, the glue to the operations of our family and our jobs and everything else. So we must talk more to our children uh, and the youth and our lives, like our nieces, our godchildren, our best friends' children, and people that we have permission to talk to, especially our teachers, because I have learned that older people don't tend to talk about their experiences to the younger people. So it's really important because I figure, like, how else would they know? How else would they know? It won't be in the textbooks, I'm certain, anytime soon. So we have the homage on us to make sure that we talk to them. So, for example, my father passed 6 years ago. I did not know all of the great achievements that he had accomplished in the military and the U.S. Army. I did not know that he owned a gas station in New Canaan, Connecticut. I thought, growing up, he just worked there. It's just little things that you just take for granted. And if the parents or the friends or people don't share things with you, you just don't know. So I'm learning a lot about my mom, who just turned 80, and I've been asking her questions and actually have started a little book. It's going to be like a little book for the family to pass down for that intergenerational knowledge and to create wealth. So I'm very excited about that. And I suggest everyone to try to do that. Pick your great grandmother, your mother, your father, your sisters. Pick their brains and put together something for your family to go along with that family tree. So it's just a critical thing to make sure you walk through not just the family reunions, but keep an ongoing conversation about what's going on and what you want for your family legacy. I think that's very important. So, as the oldest sibling of 3 daughters, I had a lot of responsibility to make sure that I not only look out after my siblings, when I was younger, but was accountable for things and received, discipline for things because I was supposed to be in charge. So it parlayed into my adulthood. And I thank God for that because now I just love to help women in general because I just love doing that. And I feel it's a God-given gift because I enjoy it so much. And let me tell you, I enjoy it so much that even when I get pushback or women that I feel don't like me for whatever reason it is, which is none of my business, right? I still help them. I still open doors. I still do what God told me to do because that's what matters to me. It doesn't matter all the monkey business. What matters is that I am doing my part on this world to help another woman get to where she needs to go. So increasingly, just to go to the statistics, women are starting their own businesses, particularly women of color. And they need more access to resources and, of course, support to thrive. We need more venture capital to female CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs. And in 2020, 2.3%, a small percent of venture capital funding went to female founders. And I feel that to be quite disturbing. So despite studies that show the average female-led companies delivers more than twice as much per dollar invested than males run organizations, these entrepreneurs still face difficulties getting capital, and that has got to change. So let me just, since I only have 10 minutes, let me just move over to something else that's very dear to my heart. How can women help in this area? It's very simple to me, and this prestigious panel of women will buy into what they feel as well, and it's going to be priceless because they are amazing women. But I feel just being kind to each other is one of the most simplistic, productive behaviors that anyone can have, especially women, because we birth the children, we raise the children, we're more emotional. We have got to be kind. And I don't see that all the time. So I just want you to know, being kind, you're doing at least a little bit of your part, right? Being inclusive. You see a woman in the corner, you see a woman who's been a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe it's her first conference, right? You want to be inclusive. You want to go over and introduce yourself. Ask her, how she feels about the conference. Ask her some things about herself. Make people feel welcome as though they're entering your home. That's very important. And I try to do that in every aspect of my life. Also, be respectful. Be respectful. Sometimes I see a lot of cunning things that women will do. And I witness and I sit back and I'm like, oh, she hasn't grown yet. Like Dr. Joyce C. Frazier says, we're all different at different decades. You're not the same women you were at 20 that you will be at 40. So she hasn't grown yet is what I always say. And I just pray that she grows, and I'll just put a little prayer over her because we all have been there. So it's just a little bit of growth. Also, fight jealousy. Envy is different. She has this, she has that. I want to get that. I'm going to strive for that. That's different. But the jealousy is really like a cancer in women and our population of women. And it goes across any race. So I want you to fight jealousy and empower women. Give women compliments. That's another way you can fight jealousy. If you feel someone is looking great, they walked in the room, oh, she thinks she's all that. I'm just keeping it real. You want to go straight over and beeline to that woman and give her a compliment, because you want to get rid of these demons, is what I call it, things that you do not need to be doing, so you can grow and get out of your head and then be able to help the next woman who needs to grow. So that's a big deal. And then be an answer. Be an answer to another woman. Don't hold back information. If you don't know the information, go above and beyond. Find the information out first. She needs you. I need you. The panel needs you. Dr. Duhale needs you, especially for this campaign. But, we all need each other. So please be an answer. Reach out to organizations. I'm a part of an organization for over 12 years. Dr. Remy is on the board, and some other prestigious women. Sisters for Sisters Network. We're having a meeting this Sunday, I believe. Yes, this Sunday with Dr. Jewel Diamond Taylor. Look her up. She's amazing. And she'll be speaking to us. It's free. All you have to do is register. Go to Sisters with an S, the number 4, sistersnetwork.org, and just register. Come on and be a part of the answer. Also, Dr. Ife Williams, with the National Congress of Black Women. There's just a plethora of unlimited resources with these organizations. So just look up women organizations, pick and choose what you are interested in, and be a part of it, and volunteer. I think it was Muhammad Ali says, your rent on earth is volunteering, something like that. Don't quote me, but you do have some responsibilities to be on this earth, and you're alive and kicking. You're not gone. So you need to do some things to really help other people. That's how I feel. And Like Frankie Beverly says, we are one, we are one. Look, we are one. And if you're not a part of something, then you're not really doing anything. You have to be a part of something, just like today with Legacy Premier, with Dr. Remy. Be a part of something. Find something that makes you happy or supports your passion so you can get out here and do God's work, in my opinion, or your higher powers work. And lastly, I want to thank the engineer Crystal, because she was a doll baby when I came on to this conference today on Streamline. And I want to thank Remy, of course, and Hazel and Kavita, Deborah, Vanessa, and all who have joined us today, and all who will see this video when we are long gone from doing our God's work on this earth. And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. I'm Dr. Renee Starlin Allen. You can reach me on drdreneeallen.com, or on Facebook or Instagram as the People's MC, EMCEE. God bless you. Bam, boom, pat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Renee. Never a dull moment. I salute you for your
I salute
service,
you
for your
back.
love. You just hit the nail straight on the head. Kindness doesn't cost anything. I always tell people it's just a willingness to want to do it. And jealousy is worthless. There's no point to even engage in it, because sometimes the people you're jealous of, they don't even notice that. So you're just going to be destroying yourself and thinking that you're disrupting them. So you said it all well. Be
Thank you, ma'am.
involved. I volunteered my way to strategic opportunities as a young teenager, in college, and so on and so forth. So there's nothing as good as getting involved. Whatever that thing that ticks, that makes you excited, go get involved and do it. Never mind if it's not popular. Never mind if you're in the minority. It doesn't matter. What matters is you're getting your joy in that thing. And that thing, believe it or not, people are going to pursue that soon. So thank you, Dr. Renee, for opening
Thank
up and
you.
just getting
Thank
us
you.
all stirred up. And I
And
know
look,
we have.
Remy, Dr. Remy, I wanted to say through Sisters for Sisters Network, you get a lot of gifts because Bernice Lowe, can you see it? She sent me a plant for,
Wow.
yes,
Wow.
for
Wow.
Women's History Month. So that's another
Awesome.
plus for being involved in the organizations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You see? So your sisterhood doesn't just end with your biological sisters. There's so many sisters that I have. All of you on right now are my sisters. And we're not biologically related, but the sisterhood that we share is very profound, that we have each other's back. Isn't that what sisters do? Yes. So thank you, Dr. Renee. So I hope you still get to stay with us for a few more minutes. We will have a Q&A after that. If not, we understand that Call of Duty comes, you got to go. So next on the list is Vanessa Adebayor. Vanessa, over to you. Let's hear your thoughts, and thank you for being part of this great opportunity.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. Once again, it's a privilege and honor to just be among such beautiful women who've achieved so much. And yeah, when you told me and messaged me that I should be a part of the conversation, I felt really honored to be able to be in a space where I could also learn, but also share some of my little life experiences. So yeah, when you mentioned the topic to me, leveraging intergenerational strengths in a building and thriving female ecosystem, it meant a lot to me. I had to kind of sit down with it and kind of just reflect over what that meant for me. And an African proverb kind of came to mind, and I kind of use this and carry it on, or I have carried it on traditionally, just throughout different experiences that I've had in life. But it's, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And I think it speaks to just similar to what Dr. Renee said. It speaks to the power of collaboration, the power of being one woman, and really coming together to achieve far more greater than you could just achieve alone. I think for me, from a very young age, I've kind of operated from a space of purpose. I think ideally, your God-given purpose will always make room for you wherever it is that you are in the world, whatever room that you're standing in, whatever it is that God has given to you to be able to utilize, it will always open doors. And I think naturally, as women, we have such great power. As Dr. Renee also mentioned, women are very, they're very diverse, right? In the sense that a woman is a mother, a sister, a friend, an employee, an employer, a CEO, an entrepreneur. Women wear so many different hats, and naturally they have so many different responsibilities, but yet they're still able to execute in excellence in every aspect of their life. And as someone that's a mental health advocate, I always wonder, like, how do us as women do it? Like, even me, like, I'm not married yet, nor do I have any children, but I'm just thinking, like, just looking at women around me, I just wonder, like, what the capacity that it takes for you to really be able to show up, right? And not only just show up, but show up authentically, and exude excellence, and wear all these different shoes. Like, at some point, it's a requirement that we rest. It's a requirement that we prioritize our self-care and our wellness. But ideally, I think that, with that being said, I feel with you walking in your purpose, there's always fulfillment that comes with that, and naturally, I feel like for me, I know what it is to be able to be in spaces and learn. I think right now, being in my late 20s, I have this I thank God for things that I've been able to achieve, but I also wear my learning hat everywhere I go, because I don't believe that learning ever stops. Every room that I walk into, I'm open and I'm willing to be able to just learn and take away from that, so that I can also potentially build myself up and improve myself, in whatever area it is, whether it's in work or, in the nonprofit space or in the development space. Like, I'm always wanting to learn, or even just in life in general. And I think that's something that, really will continue to help us no matter where we are. Being humble, being willing to take advice, being able to sometimes take critique, just being open and willing to receive other people, especially other women. I know for a fact that I would not be here if I didn't have tons of women mentors in my life, and I know that because of them, because of the example that they've set for me, I've been able to kind of progress and believe that I can achieve pretty much anything, right, if I put my mind to it. And so that's what I also would like to kind of touch on. For me, just at least from my perspective, working in the nonprofit space and also working founding an organization, I think the biggest thing I like to do is to empower women to be able to understand that they can rise to the occasion. As much as we all know that we are purpose driven, as much as we all know that we have a God-given purpose, I understand that sometimes life and circumstances discourage people from truly being able to maximize their potential and walk in their purpose. And I think naturally, people become fearful, right? If you fail, or if you've had discouragement, or if you've had traumatic experiences, or life has just happened to you in general, you may not be very confident in yourself to pursue what it is that is in front of you. And so it's important to have people in your life that can tell you that you can do it, right? And not only tell you, but encourage you and empower you and give you the tools and resources to be able to do so. And so that's something that I particularly love to carry on in my organization, because I believe that sometimes people just need that extra push. As much as I want to be a leader and be the very best leader, I think part of being a woman leader is also being able to carry women behind you and be able to empower them to be even greater than you. Because the fact of the matter is that we're not here forever. We only get one chance at life. And unfortunately, once we're gone, the work still needs to continue. And so the idea is that you create and instill an environment for people to not only learn, but feel empowered to be able to do this work, even when you finished, even when the race is over for you. And so for me, it's like, you have to teach people, you have to empower people every step of the way as you're pursuing your purpose, as you're walking into these rooms and fulfilling whatever duty that you need to. Make sure that people around you are also inspired to understand that they too can be able to utilize these tools and resources that you've provided for them, that they too can also have equal platform to be able to do the same thing in their capacity. And I really loved also what Dr. Renee said, in this journey, everybody has to understand that there's something that is for you. No one can take anything away from you. I always tell people this: there's no room for jealousy. There's no room to envy what someone else is doing or whatever they have going on. I think it is so important to understand that each and every one of us have our gifts, and no one can take that away from you. The way I execute something versus another woman executing something, they can never look the same way, because we're not the same people. We're not the same woman. We're not going to think the same way. But one thing we can do is help build each other up. One thing we can do is help encourage each other. One thing we can do is be there for one another genuinely and wish each other the best, or even potentially collaborate or partner. I think it's just important that you are very clear about the vision and the goal in which you're trying to in which you're trying to achieve. And so when you're clear about what it is that you're called to do, you don't get distracted by minor things or by other people also achieving greatness. Because the idea is that we win this race, but that more importantly, we win this race together as women in our various spaces. I think for me, mentorship is also very important. If you are a woman in a position of power, if you are a woman just that has a job, or just a woman that has a voice, I think there's a value in what you can bring to the table. I think there's value in what you can offer people around you, and I think mentorship is something that I feel has changed my life. These days, I have mentors for different things, for different areas of my life: financial mentors, mentors spiritually, mentors in the area of my in the area of my work, areas, just different mentors that I can, just speak to, because I know that naturally speaking, I can't do this life alone. And I think that's why this topic is also very important, because life can get very lonely. I think we all know this. During the pandemic, so many people were in a position where they're isolated. They were by themselves. They were with, their immediate family members, or maybe they lived by themselves, depending on what the situation was. But you realize that you need people more than you probably think you do. You need friends, you need community, you need people you can rely on. And so as you're going on into the journey, you need people that can generally put you in the right direction, give you good, solid advice, people you can trust, people that you can lean on. That is part of creating this, this healthy ecosystem. Because without that, then you're alone. Without that, you can't move forward. You may get there fast, but you won't get there far. You won't get very far without the right people in your corner. Generally speaking, I think I have really learned to have appreciation for women just being in the room and being vulnerable and being open. You never know. You sharing your story could be someone's answered prayer. You being vulnerable and open in the right spaces, in a psychologically safe environment, I should say, could be the reason why someone receives their healing. Sharing your journey doesn't take away from anyone else. Sharing your journey is going to empower somebody else and inspire somebody else to be able to know that they can achieve it. And I think it's just so important that every step of the way, in whatever space we're in, wherever we go, that we're being open to being honest about the challenges and the barriers, because people only get to see the successes. They only get to see the titles. They only get to see, the accolades, but they don't get to see the journey. They don't get to see the denials, the failures, the things that you had to endure to actually get to where you were. And so it's so important that you're transparent about that journey, so that that young woman like myself, or the other, other pair that's listening to what it is that you're saying, also understands that the journey to success, the journey to pursuing your purpose, the journey to achieving your goals is not easy by any means necessary, but it's worth it, and it is doable. I know I don't have much time, but I just want to, end with saying that, for me, there's so much power in collaboration. us coming together, we are so much more powerful together than we are apart. And I thank God for this platform and just allowing us to be able to be in this space together, because I'm hoping that through our stories and through just our small conversations, we're able to inspire other women to do the same. And I know that in our various spaces, if we start this now, it can only get better. It can only expand. We can only become stronger each and every time that we come together. And generally speaking, I know for me, like just even as, you know, a young woman, I'm continually inspired just being around women who are always there to just pick me up and encourage me, and really just be transparent about their journey. And I know that as we continue, or as I continue on my journey, I'm going to continue to learn whatever room I enter into. I'm going to continue to learn and take away from other women, but more importantly, see how we can build something stronger together. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Wow, wow, Vanessa. Oh my God. I was taking notes and scribbling, but I won't even dare to summarize what you just said. But you have hit the nails on the head. Mentorship is everything. That one woman, one power. And you emphasized it, that everyone has a gift, and your gift will make room for us, for you. And you said it also, that you had always lived in purpose. You knew your purpose. That's a great privilege to have, to know where you are and what you desire and what your purpose is. And you have been working tenaciously in that, because it's easy when you are in purpose, even when you have those dull moments, those crying baby moments, kneeling head on shoulder moment. It doesn't free, I mean, it doesn't make you worry. You know there's an end to this great success journey. And you've done great stuff. And I know you're inspiring. Keep doing it, and keep doing it big. And you emphasize collaboration. I can't even stop to underscore that. Collaboration is very critical. And another point you said is just set the expectations. You know, you want to set the expectations for the collaboration so that you're all moving forward together, not trying to pull each other apart. So,
Yeah.
Vanessa, thank you so much. I'm sure
Thank
this is going to
you.
go a long way. And other people who are not physically with us now, I'm very sure they will be very blessed. Thank you so very much. Wow. Whew. Okay, thank you. So I am moving next to the next speaker. I know we have in the house Dr. Kavita Kapoor, a sister, a friend, an educator for excellence, someone who has transformed educational globalization as an art. Dr. Kapoor, happy to have you. Please
Thank you.
share your
Thank you so much, Remy. And thank you so much to the speakers that I've been listening to. I mean, you all have made such important points today that I've been, like you, Remy, just scribbling some notes. Thank you for showing the way of how we can empower each other. I really need to, I've been reflecting on this ever since I heard this topic, and I think it's really interesting. I've been reflecting on my experiences. I've been reflecting on what it's mean to me. So the word that I really want to focus today is power, because we want to we say we are one power. We have been talking about empowering. So, what is power when it comes to a woman? So, if I go back to the philosophical roots of this word, in my country's in my Hindu philosophy, this is associated with the word Shakti. And Shakti in the philosophy of Hinduism is feminine. So Shakti is really the ultimate feminine power that is always in play in creation, preservation, and destruction. So this is this latent power that women have inside them. So I want to look at power internally rather than externally. We do have, of course, a big definition of power, which is external power, which I say, financial strength, business acumen, structures, empowering structures, empowering policies. But I'm saying let's focus on who we are. we have innate internal power. And where does that internal power come from? That internal power comes from the gifts of being a woman. That internal power comes from the qualities that differentiate the and make a woman unique. That is the nurturing, the love, the empathy, the understanding, and the creation. So can we focus on that? Can we ignite that power in each other, which is latent in all of us? I think that is one way we can build a one world, a one woman, one power world. The other aspect is, when I talk of internal power, I also think of internal characteristics, of qualities, of strength of character. And I really go back and reflect to what Dr. Rennie said, and I go back and look to what Vanessa said. What were they talking about? They were really talking of how can you spread value? How can you be um, supportive, helpful, kind mentor to those that you see around you? What is this? This is your strength, your value, your character, your competencies. So I want to reach out to every woman that's listening to me here today, that look at it as your strength, being a woman. Look at how can you make yourself stronger and therefore ignite that strength in others. The other thing about empowerment, of course, is, and I'm sure a lot of my dear friends will say, it's all very well said, but there's a reality there. Where is the place for women in the society? Where is this process of giving us the freedom of doing things the way we want to? Where are all these? What are you talking about? Yeah, we may be strong internally, but we live in an external world. I absolutely accept what they're saying. Uh, but my answer to, looking back at an answer to them based on whatever my life experiences have been, is that finally power is for those who go grab it. So therefore, ladies, and my young women who are watching this, and my colleagues and my friends, and a lot of other women who may be elder to me as well. So therefore, I would say I believe in action. You have to be there, available. You have to be there with available, not just available, but available with understanding. What do we have here why are we having an intergenerational dialogue? Why do we need to have this intergenerational dialogue? It's because we need to develop an understanding between generations. It's because we need to be understood well. And going back to what Rennie said, those conversations, those communications that we have in families, in business houses, in forums, in the street, anywhere, those conversations that we have, the communication that we have, that's very critical. So we use this strength of communication to build understanding within generations. All of us realize that when we look back to our lives, when we were children, when we were teenagers, or when we were 20s, 30s, 40s. Oh, I'm giving up my age here, but that's all right. You know, we realize how we looked at life differently. So now it's up to us to develop that understanding with those who we know are in the same spaces or the same stages in their lives. Onus is on us, not on them, because it's the mother who has to initiate the communication with the child. It's the mother who has to hold the hand of the child, and get the child to walk. So let's not leave that responsibility that we have. And therefore, I urge Every experienced elder, successful woman to really lead, not by example, but by holding the hand. And I mean, I really don't want to. I want to just reach out to all of you here, and I want to say um, that we need to bridge this gap of understanding. We need to develop our internal strength. We need to support others to develop that internal strength. We need to be strong and viewed as strong. You know, when you're powerful, what is power? Look, if you look at light, it's power. So when you're powerful, you emanate that energy. And sooner or later, that energy will take you forward. So my friends, be powerful and empower is my message for you.
Wow, Dr. Kapoor, be powerful and empowered. That is so, so right on point. What a good summary for all the things that we're trying to get across for this intergenerational experience and leveraging, developing that internal power. You said it all. When you know what you're carrying and you know what you have done to even have the audacity to say, I'm this person, I have the strength, it will be a lot easier for you to want to empower. A lot of times it's because people don't know their own superpower that they feel a little out of place and want to pull others down. But from what Dr. Kapoor just said, we should not let that deter us. That's what I'm hearing her say. And that's what Dr. Renee said. That's what Vanessa said. That showing that love, that nurturing innate that we have as women, that love, that creation, even though we try not to, we are creators. Babies come from us. I don't know any other species that can give birth. So all of those things allows us to be able to do the hand holding. I'm always careful when we say hand holding. We're not saying that maybe someone knows more than the other. It's just about saying, you know what, with our experiences, because no matter how smart you are, and your age, you cannot have experience that someone who is older than you has had. It could be good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter. But that's what we're saying, that we as generation that maybe have more experience based on the years, we have to hold hands if that's what it means. And what that means to me too is we need to come to the level whereby communication become easier, whereby whether there's cultural biases, that we demystify that and let people know that they matter first before any cultural nuances that divides us. Dr. Kapoor, thank you so much. I can go on and on and on, but I'm going to stop before the engineer stops me. So I will call Miss Hazel. Is Hazel on? I did. Engineer, do we have Miss Hazel on yet? Okay. Okay. I will call Miss Deborah Nixon, who is our next speaker, who also will be enlightening us on this great topic of one woman, one power, and to ensure that as women, I know she's leading a very, very vibrant and impactful organization and wears several hats and always there to pay it forward and be that leader. So this morning we have the privilege of having Miss Deborah Nixon Jordan of the 100 Black Women, Prince George's County, Maryland, which I am proudly a member. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Remy. It has been a delight listening to the ladies who have gone before me. Oh, the recognition of our power as women is the essence of simply knowing um, that God has put us here for purpose. And I choose a couple of things to share just to frame the thoughts for the day, because I loved your topic of leveraging intergenerational strengths and knowledge and building a thriving female ecosystem, not just one woman for self, but the strength of us all. And I, I chose wisdom as the word to focus in on in terms of those intergenerational strengths. This is one of my poems. It's called Wisdom She. In this soliloquy of words, I wonder why wisdom is a she. She, one of gender female, a woman or girl, one regarded as feminine. She who births the world of children to honor thee. She whose channel you created from a rib. She whose words of wisdom are life healing and health. Wisdom, seek it, get it, prize it, love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom, she. Wisdom, she. Wisdom and understanding. How do I find it? Understanding. Seek spiritual discernment. Seek mature comprehension. Seek logical interpretation. Remember God's words. Wisdom, guardian and protector. Dare to love wisdom. Love her, and she will watch over you. She will lead you in upright paths. Look toward the path of moral courage. Look to the path of integrity. Be willing to learn. Open your ears to wisdom. Keep the words of wisdom in sight. Keep wisdom in the center of your heart. Wisdom, seek it, get it, prize it, exalt her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. Wisdom, she will place on your head a garland of grace. Wisdom, she will present you with a crown of beauty and glory. Words of wisdom are life, healing, and health. Now, in Proverbs 4, that always fascinated me, that wisdom was considered a she. And I listened to Miss Adebayor talking about seeking knowledge and learning, and always offering insight and daring to speak your truths. I think it was Nikki Giovanni who said, if now is not the time for truth, I guess we will never get to it. And I'm paraphrasing that. So when I look at that whole concept of intergenerational strengths, I got to think back to the lady advocates that were Black women advocates, like one of my idols, Ada B. Wells, Frances Harper, Anna Cooper, an educator. The other two were journalists. And when we speak of our strengths, speaking truth to power is one of those strengths, because Black women have been at the linchpin of the struggles for civil rights, trying to overcome racism and sexism. Because in recognizing our strengths as Black women, what we understood was that when we lifted our stature in communities and in society and dared to demand the rights to justice that we are owed, 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment, and asking America to stand up to its promise of equal justice for all, Black women could not just have their vote and overcome sexism without also helping to raise the interest and floating the boat of an entire race. We helped white women to achieve their freedoms and liberties when it came to the vote. And they got their vote earlier than we did, even though we were right by their sides in the women's conventions advocating for a woman's right to vote, trying to overcome the sexism and the racism, because both sexism and racism spring from the same well springs around economics and social image and psychological issues. And it is incumbent upon us to have the courage to speak those truths that aren't necessarily comfortable. Um, because the means of oppression differ across race and sex, but I mean, they spring from the same fountain. And there's a direct connection between the advancement of Black women and society. And we as women had our hands tied behind our back because in essence, we were excluded from the labor force in many ways, and were vulnerable to sexual exploitation. And we literally had to fight to save our image, which had society looking at us as debased women and looking at us negatively, or looking at us as having loose morals, and basically blaming us for our own victimization. Um, those kinds of issues have crossed generations, ladies. I'm thinking 1893, you have the Women's Convention starting to be organized. And Frederick Douglass, who was a feminist back in about 1893, he called for a Women's Convention in Washington, D.C., where he had Ida B. Wells come and speak to the group. And again, they were talking about not just the issues of race and sex, but get drilling down to address those issues that impacted society, fighting for some quality health care, fighting for centers that offered health care in locations, looking at the improvement of streets and communities, building buildings and looking at infrastructure issues where our houses, so that our houses would not be substandard. So when we talk at the National Coalition of 100 Black Women about advocating for Black women and girls, especially in the area of economic empowerment, it's because our race as Black people have been denied, in many cases, the opportunity for generational wealth creation. We probably had about 30 Black banks back in the 1890s. And still today, access to capital is one of the biggest hindrances. The Black women in 1890s were still calling for quality child care, setting up kindergartens, and literally doing neighborhood kindergarten programming to help ensure that our children were learning. So those issues that they dealt with then, guess what? We are still dealing with today, because there is a shortage of childcare workers as a result of this pandemic and the low wage that they receive and the high need for early childhood care and the opportunity that that provides for children's access to learning. I mean, we have to continue that fight to ensure that we get those kind of things that enhance education. Because what you put between your ears, no one can take away from you. And you always want to equip yourself to be able to address any situation. And in the job arena, you want to learn everything they have to teach you, and then as much as you can learn on your own, so that you are prepared for any and every opportunity that might present itself. I talked a bit about the fact that we are still defending our moral integrity as women. And I look at issues like the over sexualization of our girls, which leads to more often victimization. I heard a stat the other day that talked about almost 70% of women 18 and under had experienced some kind of rape or sexual assault. Now, let that sink in for a second. So, the over sexualization of our girls becomes an important issue that we again have to raise. We have to look back on how Black women have achieved, and we got to tell the stories of our women struggling to emancipate themselves, and know that it is all right to be in that struggle, ladies. It is all right to speak up when their equal pay is not there, when the promotion opportunities are not there, when the glass ceiling stops here and we're not allowed to cross that barrier. So come on with your hammer and break the glass, and apply for the jobs. And because we have to address the evils which undermine the strength of this nation. And that's a part of our social justice mission, because through the demand for justice and simple justice as the right of every race and every woman, and I'm paraphrasing something Francis Harper said back in like 1896 at one of the women's conventions. Think about that. We have the right to equal justice, equal pay, and where we in America have to hold democracy to a higher standard for us, because there's evil out there, and we have to sort of brand with infamy the lawlessness and the brutal assaults on our people, whether it be a lynching, a burning, a dragging, a beating in a jail that might lead to Sandra Bland's death, or watching a murder for 9 minutes as somebody puts their knees on your neck and watches us die. That atrocity, Breonna Taylor, Amir, George Floyd, all of those atrocities are not just one person, because every assault on one is an assault on all in our society, because we all rise together or we fall together. I'm about rising, keeping hope alive, using that wisdom that has been presented to us, and raising the moral indignation that is appropriate to the moment. When 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 gifted attorney Ketanji Brown Jackson can be castigated, not because she's a talented, skilled attorney, Black woman judge that is up for Supreme Court nomination, but because folk wanted to say, there's some liberals out there that are saying she'd make a great judge. There are also some conservatives out there saying that she would make a great Supreme Court judge. And we need that kind of diversity on the court when we have never, ever had a Black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. And Black women are supreme and capable, supremely capable. So therefore, I invite Congress to do the right thing and confirm her nomination to the Supreme Court. because she is representative of that journey that Black women and all women have had in struggling to emancipate themselves. I'm, I want to close with a little poem, and Miss Adebayo, um, you said something that just touched my heart. And when you were speaking your truth, and I got up and I went and got this. In closing, it's called True Soul. Soul. The true soul is the self you see, the one your mind's eye wants to be. Your soul in life could be in the midst of tragedy if you allow the they to decide who you will be. Muster your mind
Mm.
for your soul's sanctity, the omnipotent space that allows you to simply be. Simply be the essence of your destiny, unbridled by the patronizing agony, the agony of they who never see the boundless vision of your destiny. When your soul meets this convoluted epiphany, may your attitude of constant faith and gratitude dispel their limiting platitudes. Your true soul will be the vision you see of just what and who you seek to be. Soul, true soul, you see. By Deborah Nixon, written January 17th, 2015.
Wow.
God bless you.
God bless you. Wow. Whew, I am dumbfounded. Wow. Miss Nixon Jordan. Whew, that is a thought provoking conversation. And what an adequate time and appropriate place to share this to the universe. I do hope, with your permission, if there's a way to post the poem in the chat after the event so people that are going to watch this later can look at it. I mean, every word that you've spoken have resonated to my spirit. You took it to another level. And until we realize that we're not just on one level.
Leveraging our strengths, our collective strengths.
Mm.
And now, mind you, Sister Remy, I guess what floors me is that the dialogue of women from 1893 is still relevant in 2022 when somebody wants to use voter suppression to deny me my right to vote, to deny people of color their rights to vote, to deny people that live in certain zip codes their rights to vote. And it is incumbent upon us not just to ask, but to demand that freedom that is guaranteed to us.
Yes. Thank you. So well said. That freedom that's guaranteed to us, collectively, we can achieve it when we have advocates like you, like the 100 Black women, and other people who are letting their voice matter. Your voice cannot just be kept for you. That's why some of us are stepping into another level to raising our hands to be that voice of authentic narration where legislations are being done. Because your soul is the largest thing you can carry everywhere you go. Everything you've said, I could hear it. I could hear your heart speak. I could hear your heart speak. That is the passion we carry as women, guys. That is the power we carry. And no one should stop that. No one should allow anyone to stop that. And there was something you said, master your mind. I mean, mastering our mind is so critical because everybody wants to define you and decide who they want you to be today, who they want you to be tomorrow, and the next day and the next day. But you know who you are and whose you are. And you need to ensure that you constantly know where you stand, regardless of if you're in the minority. Like Miss Nixon Jordan just said, this conversation has been going on forever. Can we get closer to knowing that our power lies within us, and as women, until we come together and show that nurturing, that caring, that supportive ideas that we need, it's going to be hard for even the nation to be addressed until the women get it right. And we challenge all those lawmakers out there, all those decision makers out there, whether in corporate America or public America, everyone who understands the power of womanhood, we challenge you to do the right things, to ensure that the pay is the same for everyone, to ensure that there are benefits that women deserve and they should get when they are caring for their children. COVID just made some women totally unable to do work, to pursue their career the way they want. Thank God for employers who have all of this remote working. But even at that, let's be more cognizant of the power that women carry and be intentional about having supportive measures to ensure that our women are enabled to have equal access to capital just like the men. I'm a former finance person. There should be no discrimination. The credit is the credit. If there are guidelines for ensuring that someone gets credit, it should be the same for all, whether male or female. Anyway, that's another topic for another day. Stay tuned for our upcoming housing disparity summit. Stay tuned. That's yet to come. Let me not get digressed. Thank you so much, Ms. Nixon. You have been amazing, always amazing. I'm not surprised. I'm just honored that you came and you gave of yourself like you always do on bigger and larger platform. Thank you so very much. And our listeners now and later will be very thankful. And if we can get the poem, we would love to put it in our chat and let it go viral. And of course, with your name on it, and share it locally and globally, because we have a global audience here right now. So without further ado, I have one more speaker, my great sister, Hazel Harrington, all the way from Australia. I hope I didn't mess it up. And she is either just I'm sorry, waking up.
Didn't.
Yes, she is a powerhouse. I'll let her introduce herself because that's what you all did. I don't know. Tell us what time it is there, because I know it's not. It's not our time. Thank you so much for joining us. And we appreciate all that you do globally and locally. And we wanted you to be part of this conversation because I know the power in your voice wherever you are and whatever you do. So we wanted to enlist you in this conversation of authentic narratives, because it's not ending today. It's going to be continuous, but we needed you right here. And thank you for honoring us. Over to you, sister.
Thank you so much, Dr. Remy. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today at this amazing conference. I want to say thank you to Vanessa, Dr. Kavita, Dr. Renee, and Deborah for saying yes to come and support Dr. Remy as well. The reality is that as women, we need to continue to empower one another. And I love the title of this conference, One Woman, One Power. Now, I'd like to wish all the women that are watching a happy International Women's Day. It is a pleasure and honor to be celebrating International Women's Day in 2022. There's a lot of changes that are happening around the world. And the topic that we're discussing today, we're talking about how can women thrive in an ecosystem. We're talking about intergenerational relationships. You know, Dr. Remy, when you brought up this title and you wanted us to talk about this, I believe that we cannot talk about intergenerational relationships. We cannot talk about thriving relationships for women in a situation where women are not being educated or given the opportunity to be educated. Education is important. I moved to Australia from Zimbabwe, and I was in my 40s, and I had to go back to school because there are not enough universities in Africa In Zimbabwe, there's 2 universities, and we've got millions of students. They want to be educated, but the facilities are not there. And going back to why I moved, because of a broken relationship, lack of education, broken relationships. What's going on here? We're talking about women thriving. The reality is that our relationship with our grandparents and our parents is important. They give us wealth of knowledge. They educate us on the future. If I want to have a bright future, if I want to excel in my future, it is very important how my relationship is with my grandparents, my parents. Why? Because their experience is going to help me to achieve success in the future. We talk about mentors in business, but we seem to forget that our parents are our mentors in life. There's business mentorship, but then there's mentorship in life. The reality is that I'm seeing it today in Australia. There's a difference between having a mentor in Africa than having a mentor in a developed country. Why? Because in Africa they're maintaining culture, and the reality is it's working, because a lot of family members are struggling with youth that are taking drugs. They're struggling with women. We're talking about in developed countries, because they're coming from a certain cultural background, and then they come into a developed country and they're struggling. So going back to education, it is important to educate the girl child. It is important to educate our family members. It is important, even as mothers ourselves, to instill that into our children, to say education is important. I love the fact that now, even though we've got undeveloped countries, a lot of the parents, grandparents are sending their grandchildren, their children abroad to get an education. But there's something that's still wrong, is that I just mentioned that you'll send your child, your daughter abroad, but then they haven't been educated on what to expect when they go abroad. Their personalities change. I have a personal testimony of a family member where the child is taking drugs, and it's a terrible situation. So we're going back to saying one woman, one power. What can we do about that? I love Dr. Adama, who spoke at my conference. She talked about us women that have achieved success, like Dr. Remy, going back going back to Africa, to where you were raised and where you were born, and educating the women and the youth there. I have 2 charities in Zimbabwe. I Am Bible Distribution and Destiny Arise. And the reality is that because of COVID, I haven't been able to travel for the past 3 years. But every year I go there twice a year. When I was studying, I would go there twice a year to equip and empower them. Going into the villages, busloads of women would come to be educated. Why am I doing that? Because I've been educated. And one day I was driving my Mercedes, and the reason why I'm saying my Mercedes, because I'm talking about wealth. Wealth is important, because when you're in extreme poverty, you can't get an education. I'm driving my Mercedes, and in Africa, when the stores are closed, you can buy tomatoes on the side of the street. I'm driving, and I decide, okay, I need to get tomatoes to make dinner. And so I get out of the car and I go to the marketplace, and the women, they sell their vegetables. There was one stand, and the lady was selling 4 tomatoes for less than $1. That day, my life changed, because I had 3 houses. I had my restaurant, and I was just living my life. I started to weep, because I realized she's not even making a profit. She's making a loss. She has no idea how important marketing is. She has no idea about the importance of educating yourself. And I said to myself, what can I do? Well, I realized that there's something that I can do about it. The reason why you're crying is because you've recognized the problem. And entrepreneurs are problem solvers. So I started running women's business workshops out of my restaurant. From there, started going into schools and realized that let me take this, take this back and start educating them from school, and partnered with the Minister of Education. What am I saying, ladies, is that we're on a very important platform. One woman, one power, collaboration, going back to our roots, educating our children, our grandchildren, educating the girl child that an education is important, quality of relationships. If I am in poverty, I've got no time to think about getting into politics. Equal pay. Poverty is the greatest killer of destinies. My story is different today. Everybody on this platform, their story is different. But when we come together and we unite on International Women's Day and we say, how can women thrive in developing countries, in underdeveloped countries? What can I do to help you? Collaboration. My platform, Harrington Publications Worldwide, and I know Dr. Remy knows this, is that I promote and encourage collaboration. Together we can go further. Together we can achieve more. But most importantly, ladies, we need to ask ourselves, yes, we're in business to make money, but where are we laying up our treasures after we die? Are we building a legacy just to show off and say, I did such and such and this? What do you want to be remembered for? Dr. Remy, what are you going to be remembered for? Today you drop down and die. Vanessa, what are you going to be remembered for? All the ladies on the platform, Dr. Renee, what do you want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for that woman that made a change, that impacted lives. Not that woman that had 3 houses, made millions, and died and didn't even change one person's life. In closing, I want to share a story. So after starting my business workshops, going into schools, I started going into prisons. It was the most scariest thing. Scary, scary, scary. And I got some volunteers. And I remember the first day going into, and this, we're talking about men's prison, not female prison. And I said to myself, because we have conversations with ourselves, for me, it was with the Lord. And I said, God, what am I doing here? I'm scared, because I'm surrounded by all these prisoners. They lock in the doors, the high walls. It was my first time. I said, are they even going to listen to me, a woman? I stood in front of 5,000 men and I was shaking. They didn't realize it, but I spoke. And I said, you can be a better father. You can be a better dad. It does not stop here. They were sitting in the sun, so I couldn't see. Afterwards, they were rejoicing. They sang a song to me. I was in tears. But the greatest testimony was I came to Australia. Now, ladies, I came to Australia. It was hard as a woman of color. I worked so hard. I think Dr. Remy has watched my journey. I had to go and network. I had to push, and I was coming out of a broken relationship, a broken woman. But that's for another day and another story. But guess what? I went back to Africa. After my sad story in Australia and pushing, I went back to Africa. I was in the city at my restaurant. And this man comes up to me and he says to me, hi, excuse me, tells me his name. He says, I hope I'm not being a bit of a bother, but I just wanted you to know that you changed my life. I said, really? I said, how? Sorry, and I'm trying to remember, where do I know this guy? He says, you came to the prison and you spoke. Every time I share the story, it brings tears to my eyes. I thought I didn't do anything. But if there's one woman that listens to your story, even if you go back to the Bronx and you share your story, he says, I'm a better man. I went back to my family and I'm better. He says, I've been looking for you. I mean, I've been in Australia for 8 years now. He says, I was looking for you and I found you today. Someone told me that you were in town. Why? Because of social media. We posting, I'm going back to Africa, and had a picture of me and my daughter. So ladies, on this International Women's Day, let's be united, one women, one power. For us to thrive, let's go back and educate our children, grandchildren, the woman even next door, educate wherever you go. And thank you so much, Dr. Remy. You've got a special place in my heart. I met Dr. Amy. She invited her to speak on my platform. And from that day, I knew that I needed her in my life. I don't know every single woman on this platform personally, but I believe in building long term relationships. And it's an honor to have Dr. Amy as my friend, and just empowering each other in business and being there for each other. As women of color, we need to continue to unite and be there for each other. Thank you, Dr. Amy. Thank you for all the women on this platform. And thank you for uniting on International Women's Day to make this day special for Dr. Amy. Thank you so much, Dr. Rosalind. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Wow. Sister Hazel Harrington, our powerhouse sister. Some of those stories I've never heard. It touches my heart. And your message is loud and clear. Let's reach out and touch someone, especially globally, where development is up and coming, not forgetting our roots. It's the strong message you've sent. And I know a lot of us here collaborate to do things. What she's telling us is more can be done. And we all know it because we're singing to the choir. But for those who will hear this, we're inviting you to be part of this collaborative journey because no one can do it alone. We're not trying to do it alone. We're trying to be a legend. We're trying to leave a legacy when we close our eyes tomorrow and go to our Heavenly Father. How would people remember you? How would people remember me? And that's what made me to start my foundation so many 15 years ago called Legacy Premier Foundation. That was the singular reason. And thank you for reminding us. And I know so many of you are doing great work, especially as speakers. And some of you that are watching us, I know the work you're doing. Thank you for all you do. And this has been just a heart touching event for me. Hearing all of you speak from your different angles makes me to feel very empowered, knowing that other people that would hear these words, that will hear this recording, a word there will profit them. If just one person, like Jesus said, is blessed, we would have done our job. And I know it will be a multiplier effect. Thank you to our engineer. Thank you to all of the speakers. You guys have just made my day. There's a quick question though. I'm not sure if we just quickly answer the question. We have identified all these possibilities. We have identified our successes, and we've identified that yes, it's a process, it's a struggle. Why do we even have to keep going back to identifying that we need to collaborate? Where do we have the break in communication that makes it difficult for some of us, especially women, to get it? And once you tell me that answer, how specifically, in your own word, can we do better by ourselves? Let's start with ourselves to ensure that we inspire other people to make the world a better place. And we'll call it a day after that. Anyone can go first, not in any particular order. I know Dr. Renee had to take a leave to work. So please go ahead. I see Vanessa's hand.
Yeah, I have to go to a dentist appointment, but I'll just
Oh.
quickly chime in and say that I think it's something that is constantly reoccurring because I think in just in life in general, everyone has their own passions and vision of what they believe they're supposed to achieve. And I think with women in general, we very much stick to that. Like we all have like some type of plan or some type of idea of what we would like to accomplish. And sometimes you don't in that vision, you may not actually visualize doing it with other people, like it may be a situation whereby you kind of envision yourself just on this journey alone, trying to just get things done along the way. But I think going back to collaboration is so important because once again, like, with women, a lot of women that I know, we're just very much resilient. We're okay kind of working from a space of self and, putting in all of our resources, our time and our energy, and realizing that, we can't do it alone is so pivotal and is so important. And I think it's, something that we just continually need to repeat, so that people understand that the other women surrounded by them or people that they've come in contact with are there for that purpose of allowing them to be able to get to the next level, allowing them to go even further than they could go if they were by themselves, allowing them to understand that they do have helpmates in other women. Their helpmate is not just your spouse or
Mhm.
your partner. It's also in the woman that you surround yourself with. It's also in the leadership or the mentorship that that you look up to, or you involve yourself with. And so yeah, I think it's just a constant reminder, just because us as women, we're very resilient, and we have like I said, an idea of what it would take for us to get there, and we sometimes look at it from just a single perspective rather than looking at it from a collaborative perspective.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. We do appreciate your time. And if you need to take your leave, we value you and thank you and see you again. We will call you again. Thank you. All right. Dr. Kapoor, you want to go next? Quickly. So,
I think that that's a very interesting question that you raised, Remy. Uh, that we all understand we need it, yet where do we begin? What is it that's keeping us away from it? I think that we need to search that answer. If I look at it, I look at it in a way that, for example, what you're doing today, we need far more initiatives like this. We do need a structural aspect to building this environment, as you have been always saying. So we do need platforms, we do need forums, we do need conversations on this, because that is how that's how it will develop. I mean, if I really look at the fact that, and this is exactly what's happening, if even if we look at families, or we look at our smaller social groups, that those who are capable are, I mean, the younger people are more about capacity, about capability, about technology, and they have it, right? So whereas the elder, those who have experienced, are more about wisdom, is more about personal growth, is more about understanding the why of things, is more about linkages. So really we need to bridge this, because that's how there will be a 10x growth. That's how we will go to another level. So while we are doing very well, while we are achieving, while the stories that we are talking today are different from what our mothers spoke, uh, we have to make this connection. I mean, let's take the example. When my child was young, I helped the child to walk. Or when my child grew up, it was he who taught me how to work the internet. So we all have different skill sets. And if we come together with this attitude that we and have a let's say a structure which brings us together in a forum, that's what's going to make the difference, and that's the one power I think you're talking about.
Mhm. Well, um, we're unmuted.
oh, Hazel, do you want to go next, please?
Thank you so much, Dr. Remy. I'm in Australia, and the reality is that people do business with people that they trust and they know. We need to be able to build trust. Like I was sharing earlier, Dr. Remy said, we have learned to build trust with one another. Can I rely on Hazel? Will Hazel show up for me? It's in those little things. And the next thing is that competition. This is not a competition. We all run in our own races. The reality is that women have come from different backgrounds and different experiences. And so somebody who's looking to collaborate with me may not have genuine intentions. It's all about the intention. What are your plans? What are your intentions? We talk about one women, one power, united for good. What is your vision in us collaborating? Is it for good, or is it just for your advancement? These are the questions we need to ask. So we're talking about character. Having that character, goes back to education, that we need to educate business women, up and coming women entrepreneurs, that collaboration is good. But in that collaboration, what are the characteristics that you need to have? You need to be reliable. And the third thing that I want to say is that a lot of women have been hurt. Some women have been in relationships and in collaborations where they've been burnt and they've been hurt. And they don't want to go back into partnering and collaborating. But one bad experience doesn't mean that your next experience is going to be bad. I continue to encourage collaboration. And next week, I'm speaking in Mount Tamborine here in Australia, beautiful mountain area. And one of the modules that I have there that I'm always sharing is about networking and about building a good character, when you get into business. So I think that's what's important when it comes to collaboration.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Miss
Well,
Deborah Nixon Jordan, over
well,
to you.
when it comes to the issues of collaboration and business development, I started out by saying we need opportunities. We need opportunities. We have the intellect, we have the capabilities and the abilities. We as women simply need opportunities. And in some instances, I think we also, a part of the opportunity building is expanding the vision of what can be in people's minds. When they see Sister Harrington and Dr. Kapoor and Dr. Remy and the kinds of things that you're involved in and engaged in, they see a role model of possibility. And I think a part of our opportunity building has to be sharing the information that folks need in order to build that strong business space. And when it comes to collaboration, Sister Harrington hit it on the head. Folks do business with folks that they trust, and relationships are important. And when the relationship is there is a strong likelihood that there's going to be a stronger and longer lasting collaboration.
Yes.
Thank you, Remy, for this opportunity. Thank you, ladies. Y'all have been fabulous.
Thank you. Much thanks to each and every one of you. We would have never had an event like this without each and every one of you. The call to duty was short notice. Everybody showed up and showed up so that our voices can be those narratives that people would hear now or later, to know that the possibilities are endless. And you hit it on the head. The opportunities need to be created. And people see us from afar, but until they get close up to see what you're doing. So when they see what you're doing, they can say, I can do it too. None of us have two heads. I haven't seen anyone with two heads right now. But just being able to let people know that whatever you can do, other people can do better, not even do as you. You should be intentional about creating succession leadership. That is an intentional formula that a lot of us don't do, because you're thinking, what if this person becomes a great leader, oh, they will they will take my job. So how about if you become original and they don't be at that branch? Let's go back to knowing that we have to be intentional with succession leadership. That's where it's not a problem to show people, to open access to people. Let it be on their conscience. If they do, and if you open it up and they mess it up, it's okay. We have a greater power who sees the heart. He will rebuild again. But we should never be weary of doing good. That's how I'm going to leave it.
But be
Do not be
Yeah.
weary of doing good, because that's the only thing that matters. That's the only thing that will give you joy. What good is it to have all of what you need in the physical, and maybe health wise we don't have it like that? If we continually do havoc or plan havoc against others, or don't want to give of ourselves to help someone, our conscience will hurt us. I'm not from the medical space, by the way, but the medical people will tell you that that could lead to a heart problem. Then you're not enjoying the good of your handwork. So, guys, everyone hearing us, we're all about collaboration. The same tenacity is what is making me to want to go and represent you on another level, so that the voice to change things will be there. I would not be someone that's coming with, I want to be. I'm already being, because I know what is important. I know what is important to us. I'm a serial entrepreneur, a mother, and all of the above, but that doesn't matter if I can't share it and let other people know that the possibilities that they have is even greater. So I'm thankful to each and every one of you. I'm glad that you showed up, and I'm just so excited. To our engineer, Crystal, thank you so much for making this afternoon a great one, evening for Hazel. And Hazel, stay tuned. We want you to jump in some of the things we're doing here, and we will make a difference and continually do that. Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you.
God bless you. And thank you to all of the Legacy Premier Foundation board members that also supported this behind the scene. Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you.
blessed. Bye, ladies.
Bye, ladies.